Well, hello, friends and neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here, and welcome down to the Nook. It's Sunday, so I'm going to shoot another couple of samples. And like last Sunday, I'm actually going to shoot samples that came to me straight from a distillery. So here's a couple of ryes that came all the way here from Quebec, from Maison Sivó. I don't think they released in Alberta yet, but it's my second time trying something from there. So today we're going to look at their rye. This is Le Rye, 42%. Talk a bit more about this when we get back. And then we're going to look at one of their selection rye releases. This one is peated. I'm not sure if it's in the stores yet, but either way, we're going to talk two ryes when we get back. They're regular and they're peated. If you've got any from Maison Sivó, why not pour that? If not, try a Canadian rye, pour something. Come on back and I'll share my thoughts on these two samples. 3, 4. Okay, I'm pretty excited to try these samples, and as I try to be as open as honest with you guys as possible, you know, I buy all the bottles so far that I've reviewed on the channel, and samples usually just come from great supporters and fans, but I've been getting a few more samples from distilleries, so I try to be clear up front. I'm okay with doing it with the samples because I have a reaction, definitely, whether I like them or not. And it's always just my own reaction. But you know, when someone gives you free whiskey, it's hard not to be in general a little bit positive. I will try to restrain that and speak just my reaction to the whiskey itself. Now, I haven't tried these. This is what I know about the rye, looking at their website and then talking to the fellow who sent this to me, who is, their master blender and a distiller, and that's Ian McCall. Ian said this Le Rye, 42%, is natural color. This is natural color. In fact, I think he said all their whiskey is natural color. That's interesting. But this has a little more to it. I believe, if I went on their website, it's got 2/3 rye and 1/3 malted barley. And it's aged first in oak, new oak, I believe new oak. And then it's finished in port. I don't know for how long, but in export barrels. So this one, and this one's chill filtered. We'll talk about this other sample here. This one's not chill filtered, 43%. And as I said, that one's peated. So I'll get to that. But the first one here, kind of an interesting history, like to have, you know, mostly rye. So certainly a good American rye or Canadian rye. A lot of our ryes are blends with other things, but American ryes, of course, have to be 51% rye grain. This would be more than that, 66 if it's 2/3 rye. But I like that it's finished in port. It could be an interesting expression. Let's try it on the nose. That's a very expressive nose, very floral. It is. It's got some herbal, eucalyptus, classic rye notes from that kind of grassy grain note, but it really has a very rich floral other tone to it. Don't know whether that's poured or some other way it's treated, but it's you know, a very juicy nose, if I may. Yeah, but definitely grassy for me. So if you like your ryes to be a little bit more bourbon, a little bit more just spicy, not kind of got that core grass note, this one has that. Let's try it on the palate. Been waiting for this for a long time. Thanks again, Ian, for sending it my way from Quebec. Cheers. That's very nice in the palate. I believe he said they try to keep their rye closer to 6 years, but it's been very popular and that this is probably somewhere around 4-year mark. Very coating, smooth, juicy fruits in the palate for sure. Very coating. Interesting side notes that I don't always get in rye. Some chocolates, some like a little bit of, yeah, dark chocolate. I'm gonna try another sip. Cheers. A little bit of licorice, a little bit of anise, a little bit of... Now the peppering in here is light. It's there, it's present. It's got some spice. It's got some little bit of white pepper, I would say, more than cracked black pepper. And it might be building a bit now with my second sip, so it might grow during the experience. As I said, I really haven't tried all that much yet. But probably the highlights of this rye for me is its mouthfeel, that fruity, juicy note, and I like kind of that black licorice anise edge to rye, so I can enjoy that too. I will say the nose is, to me, a very classic kind of a grass-forward rye, which I know is polarizing in the whiskey community. I enjoy that, but it's, it's kind of that, I don't know, that full rye experience, whereas some would say, they like their rye a little closer towards bourbon, which surprises me because there's a third malted barley in here. And I remember their single malts being very kind of nutty and a little husky and really a really interesting grain cereal. No, I'm not quite getting it in here. All right, now this is one of their selection ryes. As I understand it, they time to time have some outstanding barrels, and then they put it out in their kind of selection series. So it's 43.5 instead of 42. It's non-chill filtered. Now this, I'm pretty sure, is older, closer to that 6 years, and aged in new oak. Also natural, and it's interesting. You can see the effect of port. I don't know if you can see it, but probably not against my red sweater. I can certainly see a darker color. Since they're both natural, it's worth thinking about on the export than on the new oak, even though this has been aged in oak longer. All right, so trying the peated rye, non-chill filtered, 43.5%, all the way from Quebec, from Maison Sivó. Ah, that is an interesting nose. In comparison, I have to say this has a bit more blackcurrant, a bit more raspberry. But this is a nice nose, very nice. Now I'm almost getting a little more cereal undertones, which I wasn't getting in that. I think this might just be straight rye. Subtle, a little more subtle nose. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. Really nice in the palate. It has more body. It's a little bit more spicy. Not hot cinnamon, a little more black pepper. And there in the finish now is coming some of the peat. I was wondering if I'd get it on the nose. Now coming back, I might get a little. I'm gonna say a word that's way too strong. A tiny edge of creosote. But when I usually reserve creosote for Isla malts or some really strong, I'm talking really strong, it's not there, but I'm trying to chase after, and it's not smoke off a campfire, but it's that edge of, I've said in some malts, edge of something, but there is a bit on the nose. Very pleasant. Try the palate again. It just, in the swallow and the presence, definitely has more body. And if you like a little bit drier, a little bit, what's the word, savory malts, I think this rye will definitely appeal to you. It feels mature. It tastes like that kind of savory. Oh, and there I've got a little more pepper coming back on a longer finish. It just feels like that, like it's got a bit more presence. But if you like juicier, fruitier notes, I have to say this regular rye from them, boy, it really impressed me. It's got a lot going on. This would be, if you're getting into ryes or craft ryes, probably where I would go, even though this is clearly a unique treat and one that I enjoy. Given time with both, my palate is relaxing a bit on some of those grassy herbal notes that I was really getting here, but it just is a bit of a house style perhaps, one that I enjoy. But I know, I've said it before, can be a very polarizing experience in the whiskey community when it comes to figuring out rye. Well, thanks for staying with me through these 2 samples from Maison Sivó out of Quebec. Very thankful to Ian for sending these my way. I will be trying them more, getting to know them a bit more, maybe comparing with some other ryes. I suggest they are a little bit on that, full rye grain, little grassy spectrum, which I like in rye, but I know can be challenging for some. The peated here is gently peated for me. It's not overpowering. It's not a huge, smoke or smolder bomb, but there is that effect, creates a dry, savory, slightly peppery, really nice, relaxing rye. This with that port finish, or maybe it's, the fair amount of barley in here, I don't know, but this is quite a fruity and I don't know, I'm kind of drawn to the flavors of this, their regular rye release, younger at 4 years. Either way, thanks for joining me. Hope you guys have had a great weekend and heading off into a great work week. You guys take care.